realize if we have a rogue government, we cannot follow their laws because they're illegitimate. I see this as what brings in anarchy. And, you know, anarchy is not the road I'm on. But, you know, if you'd like, you can come along. Well, if I don't want a road warrior society, but they claim they're here to bring order, it seems they're bringing disorder. Where do you see the world going, and how do you tie this into your larger worldview, Robert?
Well, first of all, I really do enjoy fried chicken and watermelon.
Exactly, I do too.
Doesn't make me a racist. But I think really what you're saying, I agree with, is that, you know, too many people keep the water stirred up. And when the water is stirred up and muddy and confusing, the people listening to the media or watching the reading the things in the paper, is they cannot make logical decisions. And so people, like you say, they don't know what's going on because they're all stirred up all the time, making these really stupid remarks about, you know, this and that and racism and guns, and it's just goofy. And we're in a bad situation right now.
Well, the political elite have obviously fostered this because, as you said, the fog of war, it confuses us, it confounds us. But won't it end up making the country really have problems if they've got school kids obsessing and crying over brown paper bags, while meanwhile Obama is butchering the Bill of Rights and Constitution, along with the Republicans?
That's what I think. You know, my rant, for those of you who read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, my whole rant for the last 20 years has been, why don't we have financial education in our schools? You know, why are they talking about brown bags and fried chicken and watermelon? And when you look at, and I'm not Republican or Democrat, so I don't have a dog in that fight.
Same here.
But when you have a president who comes from Hawaii like I do, and he went to one of the richest schools in Hawaii, but the guy knows nothing about money. And when you have a guy who knows nothing about money, but actually comes from a poor background, that poor background is going to affect their view on people who make money, people who are rich. And I think really that's the biggest problem, because from President of the United States down, senators and congressmen, military officers and all that, millions of people today who work for the government now expect the government to take care of them. You know, like Detroit went bankrupt because they couldn't pay for pensions. And why is that? Why is Obama going to make more money after he's president than when he did when he was working? Why are senators and congressmen paid exorbitant pensions when they only work for one term? At the same time, you have millions of poor people or people who are struggling, people who own businesses who may never be able to retire. And that's a crime. And that's why I say, why isn't there financial education in our schools?
That's right. They have demonized making money, saving money, how to build a business. They've just taught us, you know, go work for the big corporation in a drone facility, and they've created all this class warfare. Obama lands in a giant jet with 14 other support aircraft and over 200 Secret Service, and then tells Nigerians you shouldn't have air conditioning or a car. He doesn't say we should have cleaner cars or cleaner air conditioning and innovate new sciences, and that Africa, you know, could innovate and lead the world if they had that idea. No, he just says you're going to stay in mud huts. How's that sound? When he is there basically delivered by a high-tech flying carpet.
I agree wholeheartedly. I don't remember, but I was a pilot. I flew for the Marine Corps in Vietnam. And I know how much it costs to run a plane. I remember when Clinton was running for office, he actually parked a 747 and left it running so somebody could give him a $200 haircut.
No, I remember that. And people were outraged back then.
Yeah.
Is there outrage fatigue now? Because stuff is getting more and more over the top. Or where do you, and I'm going to skip this network break because I want to give our guest more time. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of all time for self-help finance book, is our guest. Got a new book out. We're going to talk about that book. But, I mean, the world is just crazy at this point. Give us your prognosis for the planet. There's obviously opportunities for those of us that are studying it. I mean, I'm going to do better probably than ever as things get worse. But I'm not happy about that because I know it's hurting the average person.
Amen. Alex, I would say exactly the same thing. It doesn't make me happy that I'm getting richer and richer, and I see my friends getting poorer and poorer. I'm very concerned right now about, you know, my generation, the baby boom generation, the biggest generation in history. And they bought that program of put all your money in a 401k and invest for the long term. Now, I wrote a book called Rich Dad's Prophecy back in 2002. That was 14 years ago, or 13 years ago. And I said the biggest stock market crash in the history of the world was coming in 2016. Now, I was kind of guessing, but unfortunately, I didn't write it to be right. I wrote it out of concern. If I'm correct that in 2002, when I said the biggest market crash was coming in 2016, that means millions and millions of baby boomers, their kids, their grandkids, will feel the effect of that when their retirement savings are wiped out. I hope I'm wrong, but so far, my numbers look accurate and it's holding course right now. So I don't write because I want to be rich or poke fun or be righteous. I am really concerned about my fellow citizens.
It's frustrating because when you know how this stuff really works, you can position yourself and do well. And then just the average person, even if they seem smart or a friend, they just keep doing what CNBC and CNN say. Not even that those places have big audiences anymore, but still it's the authority. But with Brian Williams' fall, I think that's one of the big dominoes to go down with a loss of confidence in the system. What's your take on the future of the media?
Well, I think it's manipulated. You know, you and I are in the same boat again. It's not free media, it's controlled media. If you have money, you control the media. If you don't have media, you don't have that money, you don't control it. You know, when Rich Dad Poor Dad came out in 1997, and I started saying your house is not an asset, I was foretelling the crash coming in 2007.
Yeah, we should talk about your predictions. Rattle off some of those. They're amazing, and they're on record.
Well, there was three. One was that savers would be losers, and that was in 1997. And in 2007, when the markets crashed and the Fed began printing money, as you know, savers are losers. I also said your house is not an asset, and your house is the biggest asset for many of the middle class. And as you know, the real estate market has not yet recovered. Excuse me. And then I predicted in 2002 a massive crash would come prior to 2016.
You did.
And it came in 2007. And now this is the other side of the coin. I always talk about all coins have three sides: heads, tails, and the edge. You know, you have Republicans on one side, Democrats on the other side, capitalists on one side, social on the other side. But our job as private citizens is to be on the edge, looking at both sides.
That's right.
Fortunately, when the market crashed in 2007, the poor and middle class got wiped out, but the rich got richer. And one of the ways the rich got richer is the very banks that put out all this quantitative easing were offering guys like me literally hundreds of millions of dollars to buy the very real estate that was wiped out. And so what I write about and I talk about is that the rich are richer because they're on the other side of the coin. They don't go to school to get a job. They go to school to learn to be rich, how to start corporations.
And let's go above you at the level of actually building things in a good, corporate businessman, true capitalist. And above that is the real enemy, the crony capitalist. You're just piggybacking on them looking at both sides of the coin. Good businessmen, bad businessmen, you can do it. I can do it. Yeah. We've got to get the public to start actually getting outside the box, looking at the edge of the coin. The problem is they'll go above this. They'll finance Al-Qaeda, doesn't mean they run them. They'll finance ISIS and then make hundreds of billions off fighting them. And the public goes, what, you say we command them? No. No, but we helped get them going, and then they'll use them by, again, gaming the dialectic to get more power. How do you get the public to think like an executive? I just, some people tell me either someone's got it or they don't, Robert.
Well, let me give you, I always write about three sides of a coin: heads, tails, and the edge. I was a Marine in Vietnam, and in 1972, I was standing out there. And you may recall in 71, Nixon took us off the gold standard.
Yes.
And I was standing out there going, what the heck does this mean? So I wrote about that event in a book called Conspiracy of the Rich. Is when I was like 25 years old, I'm talking to this Vietnamese fruit seller, and she wouldn't take a $50 bill. And so here I'm 25, 26 years old going, what's going on? And she didn't want the dollar, she wanted gold. And so that's when I went, oh my God. Plus, Vietnam was kind of a wake-up call for me because I realized we, the public, are lied to by those who control the military-industrial complex. Now, I'm not against war or pro-war. I don't like being lied to.
You're against the special interest being above the law.
Yeah, and so when the market started coming down, again, I say that the other side of the coin. I didn't want to be on the side that was losing. I want to be on the side that's winning. But as you know, the media controls the message. And so it keeps the poor and middle class interpolated, always upset, discussing things that really don't matter, like brown bag lunches with chicken in it.
Exactly, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Don't have a brown bag and don't bring chicken to fry it. It's racist. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And that's what we are. Or, you know, when I had this person apply for the job the other day, and she was like really stopped from school. She did nothing. I was going, she had no idea. She was applying for a job, but she had no idea what my company did. She just wanted a job and wanted to know how much it was going to pay her.
Yeah, if I wanted a job, I'd research everything about you. I'd come in saying, I want to help you. This is what I can offer. I'd like to advance in your company. I'd like to prove myself. I really like your philosophy, Mr. Kiyosaki. No, they just show up and go, yeah, you're lucky if you get me. You know, it's just amazing.
Worse than that, Alex, I was afraid when the interview was over, I was going to get sued.
Wow.
That's how, you know what I mean? Because it'd be either sexual harassment or discrimination. You know, as an employer, I'm terrified of what I even say to potential employees. That's how politically correct we are.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to tell a woman, oh, I think your blouse is nice. Oh, that's evil. That's horrible. Of course, that's a totally normal human activity, but it's evil.
And it wasn't nice, but I didn't say that.
But I mean, I don't want to say to even like an old lady, oh, I like your coat. You know, I'll say, oh, I like your dog on the hike and bike trail because everything's politically incorrect now.
That's correct. And I think, you know, what we're talking about without describing it is probably the problem. We're so stirred up all over the place, nobody's listening anymore. You know, everybody's talking, but nobody's listening. So I'm going, holy mackerel. You know, this is not a good time to be.
Well, Robert, I want to give you the floor. We got 5 minutes till break. I've been asking some of the questions up front, but front and center, what is most important to you, good, bad, and ugly right now? And we're going to come back from break in about 5 minutes and get into your new book.
I'm just concerned about this possible. I hope it doesn't happen, but if my Rich Dad was correct, again, published in 2002, Rich Dad's Prophecy predicted the biggest crash in the history of the world was coming in 2016. And that's why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's why I speak. That's why I write. That's why I take on the media. But I'm very concerned for my citizens. Look, Alex, what happens if this? Let's say I'm right. Hopefully I'm not. And millions of baby boomers lose their pension, their homes, their jobs. They lose everything. What is a ripple effect throughout the world going to mean to that? What is it? We've never been here before. Never before has the U.S. dollar, one currency, been the reserve currency of the world, and we're printing it.
Wow.
The Europeans are printing, Japanese are printing, and you got to look at this and go, this is not good. So that's my concern right now.
Well, look, your prediction will come true, whether it's this year, next year, or 2 years down the road, or 3 years. Was Zimbabwe, Weimar? I mean, let's talk about that history. I mean, doesn't this always end in a serious collapse? I mean, it doesn't go anywhere else. I don't. My only concern is how big will it get before it implodes? I want to have a controlled crash landing.
Yes. The point here is the last 100 years has been 52 so-called currencies that collapse. 52 in the last 100 years. But never. The reason 1972, me standing on the fields of Vietnam, was so important was that for the very first time in history, the U.S. dollar is the currency of the world. And if the dollar goes bad or something skews up, the whole world goes down. It's not like just Zimbabwe or the Weimar Republic. It's the whole world. It is the biggest collapse possible. And we have no financial education. We don't tell people this.
The biggest collapse possible, a global Weimar, what will that look like?
Alex, you know Harry Dent?
Yeah.
Yeah. After I talked to him yesterday, I was put on suicide watch. You know, I can't even fathom what it might be. I can't imagine it. Because I was in Zimbabwe in 2004 just to go see what a currency collapse looks like.
I knew that. I read an article that quoted you. Tell us about that.
Well, it was just extremely frightening. You know, what happens when your money is no good is the question. What happens when you can't trade? What happens if you can't buy food? You know, and people do goofy things. And in fact, you know, I was accosted by what they call the war vets, you know, these guys with AK-47s. And I was out there going, you know, I'm not here to change your political views. I just want to find out what's going on. But they didn't care. They were afraid I was part of the CIA or something, which I'm not.